Hey, it's Huck. And today is Sunday, July 8th. I was brought to the hospital on Monday, and after a few hours of treatment, I was able to get on my feet, walk around a little bit with some oxygen, and they thought I was good to go. So they sent me home with some prescriptions. And within less than 24 hours, by Wednesday morning, I was such a basket case I couldn't pull my own pants up. I called the ambulance again. I was brought here. And through Friday, I must tell you, it was quite a frightening experience. Not one moment during those, 48 hours or 72 hours was I able to breathe with anything less than extreme discomfort and distress and labor. I wasn't able to expel any of the, fluids in my lung. I wasn't able to eat anything. There were a couple of times I downright panicked and had one or two exacerbations while I was here, and nothing seemed to work. I was constipated, hadn't had a, sorry to say this, but I hadn't had a bowel movement in 2 or 3 days. Had a sinus infection, making it hard to breathe through at any rate, I was a basket case. And they were using more and more graduated techniques to try to loosen up the mucus in my lungs. So I started taking some Mucinex along with all these different inhaler nebulizer type treatments, rather than just the albuterol sulfate. They were giving me, I think 4 different vaporized type of medicines, some kind of mist that helped break that up. They were giving Mucinex. Finally put me on this electronic belt machine over there that vibrates for 10 minutes. And so I use that, I think, every 8 hours for 2 days. And in fact, I had my last treatment this morning on that. And at any rate, yesterday morning, finally, Saturday morning was the big breakthrough. I finally managed to get a little bit of breakfast down. And in the process of trying to drink some of that hot coffee, I was able to have some very productive coughs and got rid of yesterday was a real good day. And for the first time, by yesterday, late morning, early afternoon, I was breathing for the first time without real labor. And yesterday was the first night I was able to sleep without real discomfort at all. In fact, the 2 nights before, they had to put me on something called a BiPAP machine. You've heard of CPAP machines for people with sleep apnea. This is called a BiPAP machine. It's a similar technology, but it actually, every time you breathe, it gives you an extra burst of air. What was happening was my carbon dioxide buildup in my blood was at 65 units, where, I guess they want you closer to maybe 35. And this is as they measure the carbon dioxide in your blood out of your artery rather than out of your vein. And so I'm no fan of needles, but I must tell you, they have poked me more times than had. So just to give you an example, here's some of my arm. You can tell I've, this is on top of, just them asking for blood every day. They've been giving me up to 120 milligrams of intravenous steroid for the first several days that I was here. Yesterday was the first time they stopped that. In other words, 3 times a day they've been giving me 40 milligrams of solenoid, or I don't know what exactly they call it. It's some type of intravenous liquid, basically prednisone, I guess, of a sort. Yesterday they brought that down to 80. In other words, 2 rather than 3 40 milligram treatments. Today they're going with 1. And the goal to get me home was to get me down to 40, where they could start me on a regimen, which is what I normally do when I have a bad situation, which is like 4 days of 40 milligrams of prednisone orally, 4 days of 30 milligrams, 4 days of 10 milligrams, and then 4 days of, basically back to my normal 5 milligrams. Now, there's a complication in all of this. What I've noticed over the last 5 or 6 months is that the frequency with which I'm having these serious setbacks has come more and more frequently from the last one. And my ability to bounce back has been more and more compromised each time. It's taken me longer and more medicine and more effort. This was a complete nightmare. I've never had experienced anything like the resistance my body was giving me on trying to bounce back this time. So I've learned a few things from this. Now, the good news is, I'm going to, I'm going to be able to get better again, and there's even a possibility I'm going to go home finally from here in the hospital, either later today, probably more likely tomorrow, Monday. My friend is going to come over and help me for a day or two to make sure that I'm not overdoing it. And him and his mom actually are coming over to the house today to thoroughly clean the house, something that desperately needed to be done because I haven't been able to keep up with all of that. And I'm probably going to go out and buy myself maybe a good HEPA filter for the living room, maybe a smaller one for my bedroom, just to give me a better air quality at home. And I'm not an expert on this, and I don't trust a lot of these reviews you read, like online or, at any of the sites, because I always figure the manufacturers are kind of behind it. So if anybody out there can give me any of your, insight on, and I'm not looking to buy anything real expensive because obviously, I don't know, I'm going to pay the medical bills. 6 days in the hospital at this point. 2 ambulance, oh God, I don't even want to think about it. At any rate, but I am thinking of investing in that. I'm thinking of investing in a screen door finally. One of the things that I think contributed to me being here is, I get all these flies in the house because I don't have a screen door every time I open my front door. I have to let my dog out, frequently. And a lot of times I kind of leave the door open a bit. And without having a screen door, I found maggots on my floor in my living room, and there were literally dozens of them. They'd come crawling out of somewhere, 3 or 4 at a time, and I'm trying to scoop them up and throw them away, and 5 minutes later there'd be 3 or 4 more, and this is going on and on and all night Tuesday night, before I ended up being really in some pretty bad shape Wednesday morning. So anyway, my house needs to be thoroughly clean. I need to get that screen door. So there's some expenses I'm just going to have to cough up I've been doing so good not to put stuff on my credit cards, but there are a few things I'm just going to have to do. I think I got to be away from cigarette smoke altogether. I can't have anybody in the house that smokes. I can't be tempted to have a few puffs, which I have to admit that I have done, and I'm sure greatly contributed to my status right now. This put real fear into me this time, though. I honestly, for the first time, went a couple of days in very high anxiety, thinking either one, I might not pull out of this, or 2, that when I did pull out of this, I'd be very, very diminished from, even the somewhat limited capacity I had before. So I'm encouraged at this point where that's not necessarily going to be true. And in fact, if I can keep myself a little healthier, my environment a little healthier. You might even see just some, over time, at least some initial modest improvements over what I've been experiencing in recent months. And so that's my goal at this point. And I want to thank everybody who's had kind thoughts and prayers for me. God knows I needed them. And they seem to have worked because I'm here. The difference that I feel now, these last, yesterday and today, compared to how I felt 36, 40 hours ago, is really remarkable. So I thank you very much. I will upload something whenever I get home, whether that's later today, more likely whether that's maybe Monday, tomorrow. But I'm not going to overdo things. In fact, my brother is caring for my dog right now. And I'm thinking, as much as I miss my poor dog, and I know my dog misses me, I'm thinking I might have him keep the dog an extra day. Simply because I don't know that, I love my dog. And I'm not sure how healthy it is for me to be around the dog. But I'm thinking maybe give it at least 24 hours before I bring the dog back into the mix. But we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching. And again, thank you so much for all your kind thoughts and prayers for me. They really do mean a lot. You're my family. I live alone. So I really appreciate hearing from you. Thank you.